Oh no, our Disney World vacation, it's ruined. We asked you at home to ruin our Animal Kingdom trip. How dare you? And now we have to fix it. Wish me luck. Sometimes when you're on vacation in Disney World, things happen. Disaster can strike and there's nothing you can do about it. So we reached out to our amazing Instagram followers and readers from AllEars.net and asked, what are your biggest Animal Kingdom disasters? And we filled our entire day with them. And now we're being forced to subject ourselves to these disasters so you know how to navigate or avoid them next time you're visiting Animal Kingdom. It is the beginning of the day. It is rope drop here at Animal Kingdom. I've got my safari hat on because we're getting wild. I don't actually know if it's a safari hat, but it's tan, and it could be a safari hat. Doesn't matter. The first disaster you submitted to us was rope dropping Kilimanjaro Safaris, and it wasn't even open. Well, let's get into some things first, because right now we're heading into Pandora, but I'll tell you why in a second. First things first, what's rope drop? Rope dropping basically just means park opening. Back in the day, cast members held up a rope to show that the park was still closed, and at park opening, they would drop the rope, people would step over the rope, rope dropping, park opening, same thing. It's always important to have a good rope drop strategy because at the beginning of the day, that's when you're gonna be able to focus on some of your must-do attractions because that's when the wait time for those must-do attractions are probably gonna be at its lowest. But Animal Kingdom is I would say it's an interesting park when it comes to rope drop strategy because there are a couple of different ways you can go. Animal Kingdom is already going to have the least amount of attractions out of any of the Disney parks, which means that there are only so many things that you can rope drop, and that means that there are more must-dos than non-dos. Now we're going to get into why you shouldn't rope drop Kilimanjaro Safari, but we're here at the first attraction that we're actually going to rope drop. And no, it is not Flight of Passage, which is a solid rope drop strategy if you want. But I think rope dropping NaVi River Journey is the way to go. NaVi River Journey is a slow-moving boat ride where you are taken into the bioluminescent rainforest of Pandora. Imagineers would describe it as Kilimanjaro Safari, except on Pandora. So you're basically getting to see the wildlife and the plant life of Pandora. And it's basically a safari, but on a boat in Pandora. It's rope drop, let's ride it. I will say it is a gorgeous attraction filled with really cool special effects and an amazing animatronic that looms over you, the Shaman of Song. It really is really technologically advanced. However, not a lot happens. So for someone who doesn't want to wait in a long line in general, it's kind of a bummer to wait 45, 60 minutes for an attraction that is more of this, it's like a people mover kind of situation. Imagine waiting 60 minutes for the people mover. I feel like you would be pretty disappointed. So rope dropping that right away when it's a lower weight, I think that's the way that I feel like you're gonna most enjoy that ride because typically you enjoy, in my opinion, you enjoy less thrilling rides if there's less of a wait. Oh, that was worth the wait. You get what I'm saying. The question I get asked a lot is, why is there such a high wait time on an attraction where not a lot happens? And I truly believe it is literally just because it is attached to Pandora. And there's only so much to ride at Animal Kingdom, but because it is attached to Flight of Passage and the world of Pandora, I believe it's like, oh, well, we've got to ride this attraction. And it tends to be a really, really high wait when people don't necessarily know what they're getting into. And with that, we have made it to Africa here at Animal Kingdom for our second attraction of the day, which sometimes rope dropping can be several attractions, not always the first attraction. Kilimanjaro Safari is a literal safari where you hop into an open air bus and you're given a tour throughout Africa's amazing wildlife. You can see animals such as lions, elephants, zebras, giraffes, okapis, the hyenas, the list goes on and on and on, hippos. You will get an up-close look at a lot of these animals, but that's just the thing, animals. Real life animals, and they are the star of this attraction. Animal Kingdom is big about keeping these animals safe, all about conservation, making sure these animals are well taken care of. And for some reason, if something is not well with an animal, if they're not ready to open yet, the safari is not going to open. They're going to make sure that everyone is as safe as possible, all the animals are as safe as possible, you are as safe as possible. So there could be a time that, oh, well, the animals got a little bit of a late start, so I think we're going to have to open the attraction around 9:15, 9:20, which could eat up 15 to 20 minutes of your rope drop time. And as everybody knows, that is valuable rope drop time. While Kilimanjaro Safari should definitely be on your must-do list, I don't think it needs to be on your very first list, just in case. Again, today it did open at 9, but sometimes we have seen it open up a little bit later, and I would hate for you to miss out on that valuable rope drop time. So hit up NaVi River Journey, which should definitely take you only 15, 20 minutes. Come on over here. Right now it's still a 20-minute wait, so we're gonna check it out. Let's go. The next disaster you submitted to us was buying and wasting money on Genie Plus here at Animal Kingdom. Listen, I feel this, and I'm going to tell you the way that I believe you should be purchasing Genie Plus here at Animal Kingdom. But first, here is your mandatory Genie Plus spiel. Now you can actually find Genie through your My Disney Experience app, and there are 3 different versions of Genie. The first version is the free Genie, which is basically just a suggested itinerary. Basically saying things like, oh, looks like Kilimanjaro Safari has a low wait around 1 o'clock. Maybe you should go ride it then. But all in all, just a suggested itinerary. The second version of Genie is the most popular version of Genie, and that is your pay to skip the line date-based fee Genie Plus. And it is just that. You can pay a date-based fee anywhere from $15 to $35 depending on how crowded the parks are. And by selecting different lightning lanes, you'll be able to skip the lines for most Disney attractions. And then finally, there is individual lightning lane, which is your fee on top of your Genie Plus fee to skip the lines for the very, very popular e-ticket attractions. We're talking Flight of Passage, Tron, so on and so on. Now we've actually done some Genie Plus challenges here in Animal Kingdom, where one person has nothing, one person has Genie Plus, and one person just purchased the individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage. In my personal opinion, I believe just purchasing individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage is the way to go. As I mentioned, there's not as many attractions here as there are in other Disney parks. So I believe using the right rope drop strategy, using single rider to your advantage, I believe the only thing you need to pay for is the individual lightning lane. Or you probably just don't need it at all. We also recommend doing Flight of Passage the very last thing at the end of the day. If you're making Animal Kingdom an all-day park, let's say the park closes at 7 o'clock, get in line at 6:58. The line is still open. Typically, it is way less crowded. You might have to wait in a 30-40 minute wait, but that's probably the exact same wait you're going to wait if you rope drop that attraction. So I do not think Genie Plus is a necessity here, so you can probably save your money if you're budgeting for Genie Plus here at Animal Kingdom. Crisis averted. We're actually headed back into Discovery Island for our next disaster of the day. And this is definitely a disaster because it can potentially ruin your entire day. If this happens, it could send whoever you're with just in a bad mood for the rest of the day. They're freaked out all day, and I totally understand. But what you submitted was, I brought my young, and then you put in parentheses, and sensitive child to It's Tough to Be a Bug in Animal Kingdom. All right, let's head inside, shall we? It's Tough to Be a Bug is a show inspired by Pixar's A Bug's Life. Basically, Flick and the bugs that actually live inside the Tree of Life, they are putting on a cabaret to show you, hey, it is tough to be a bug, but look at all the cool, crazy things we do. In fact, this show actually does take place inside of the Tree of Life, a full 3D show inside the Tree of Life, which is pretty cool. But then the antagonist, Hopper, shows up and is like, no, you want to know why it's tough to be a bug? Because of these humans. So let's show these humans how really tough it is to be a bug. And then chaos. Scary things, panic ensues. To show you what I mean, let's experience it for ourselves right now. But as we head inside, It's Tough to Be a Bug. Please, I'm begging you, look around. Remember, you're going inside the Tree of Life, which is made up of like 325 plus animals carvings. You get really unique views of the park's icon. I mean, just gorgeous. You're being shrunken down to the size of a bug. We are becoming honorary bugs, so we basically get shrunken down to the size of a bug, and now you get an up close view of the tree's roots. And look at all the cabaret posters. They're ready to perform for us. Also for all my musical theater lovers, because they are putting on a show. This is basically their theater. These are some of the past productions that they've put on, which are bug-inspired parodies of classic musicals like The Dung and Die, Auntie, Beauty and the Bees. We've got our official eyewear. Let's go. That show is wild. I mean, it's fun. It's nostalgic if you grew up with Pixar's, like A Bug's Life. The animatronic of Hopper is super cool. Now, granted, we do not know how long that show is going to be around for, but if you're going to see it, please read the warnings. I have yet to leave that theater without a child screaming. There are really loud noises. There are moments where you're in complete darkness, lots of fog, spoiler alert, spiders falling from the sky. There are special effects within the seat that you're sitting in where it appears wasps or hornets are stinging you in the back. It definitely can be very big blasts of air. It can be very overwhelming sensory-wise. Something that I would see instead of It's Tough to Be a Bug, which, again, definitely a little bit longer, but still more family-friendly, is Finding Nemo, Big Blue and Beyond. Now, Finding Nemo, Big Blue and Beyond is a 25-minute reenactment of Finding Nemo, the movie. Now, if you've seen the show before, it is not like it used to be pre-2020. Pre-2020, the show used to be much longer, or like 35 minutes, had way more characters, had way more performers. They did scale it back so it's not as much of a time crunch for everybody. But the big difference that they made was this show now takes place in the timeline of Finding Dory, and the Tank Gang, like Gil and Pearl, they are all recounting the memories of how Nemo was lost and how Marlin and Dory, searched the entire ocean for Nemo. So it's kind of a cute retelling. It's a lot of fun, a lot of heart, fast-paced, but definitely great for family-friendly. While we're on the topic of not reading the warnings, another big attraction that you should definitely read the warnings for is Dinosaur. Dinosaur is a thrilling dark ride attraction where you hop into a time machine and you try and bring back a dinosaur from prehistoric times. Unfortunately, things don't go as planned. You're a little too close to the meteor shower, and chaos ensues. You get chased by multiple dinosaurs. But if you read the warning, it pretty much says it all. Dark places and scary dinosaurs. You get whipped around left and right. It is definitely not for the faint of heart. However, it is one of mine and Emma's favorite attractions, so for funsies, let's do it. Now, as you enter the queue, don't forget to actually really look around and read things. Some of these fossils are real. They were donated by different foundations, and so this queue is an actual dinosaur museum. It's funny, I never know if any of that footage is usable on that ride because it is so dark and you're whipping around so quickly. It's also so loud. I love it, but it is definitely not for the faint of heart. Apparently there's a revamp in the work for this entire Dinoland USA. So if you love that attraction just like I do, I'd get on it sooner rather than later. But if you're looking for a good comparison to see if that attraction is right for you, if you've ever been to Disneyland, the Indiana Jones attraction, it is a copy and paste of that attraction. The ride vehicle, the track outline, how the vehicle moves. The only difference, Dinosaur in darkness, Indiana Jones and a temple. Another disaster that you submitted about being here at Animal Kingdom is that you opted for pizza instead of an Animal Kingdom snack. And to be honest, that's extremely easy to do, especially when you're traveling with picky eaters or you're not quite sure what's good, what's bad. You're nervous about going so far adventurous and spending all that money, and you're like, oh, I didn't like this at all. Which is why I'm actually going to show you a middle of the road option today. Typically, we talk about the pods, the cheeseburger pods from Satuli Canteen in Pandora. We talk about the items at Kusafiri. We talk about the Yak and Yeti Local Foods Cafe. But this is a little middle of the road where I feel like it's Animal Kingdom specific, but also far enough away from pizza that you feel like you didn't travel to Disney World just to eat pizza. Which is why I brought you to Flame Tree Barbecue. Flame Tree Barbecue is your one-stop shop for all things barbecue here at Animal Kingdom. And they've got some really delicious items on their menu. For example, I am here and I just got the pulled pork mac and cheese, and it's covered with barbecue sauce, coleslaw, and onion rings. But the big reason I wanted to take you to Flame Tree Barbecue is because of the seating behind Flame Tree Barbecue. Yes, their food is delicious, but it also has one of the most beautiful, scenic, tranquil, I mean, just listen. Nothing. And I'm here on a pretty busy day. It's 11:20, it's lunchtime. There's nobody back here. You're going to find some of the best views of Expedition Everest, as well as the beautiful lake where they used to do Rivers of Light here. Some lush greenery, some ponds, some rushing waterfalls. It is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, talking to some of the cast members I was with last time, they said this is the best view in all of Animal Kingdom, which it's hard to disagree. Now the macaroni and cheese, it is baked. So if you can see some of the crust on it, which is always preferred. I love a good baked mac and cheese. The pulled pork is moist. The barbecue sauce, it's kind of a sweet, smoky flavor. The coleslaw, thank goodness for the coleslaw, because it would just be so heavy without it. It adds a freshness to it, which is super important. And really, the onion ring is just like an added bonus. It's just like a fried onion ring on top. I'm like, oh, that was fun. Thanks for the cherry on top. That's what it is. It's cherry on top. If you want something really barbecue, they've got a whole barbecue platter. They've even got some vegan, some plant-based options here as well. So Flame Tree Barbecue, can't go wrong. Now, when I talk about the pizza joint that you're just gonna get your standard pizza, I'm specifically referring to Pizzafari. The pizza that you're going to get at Pizzafari is your very, very standard puff pizza. This same kind of standard pizza is also going to be at Hollywood Studios at Pizza Rizzo's. It's just a puff pizza. There's not a lot of flavor to it. It tastes like a pizza, but it is definitely for your kids, for people who are extreme picky eaters. And when you're coming to Animal Kingdom, they have so many things to offer, such from entertainment to attractions to food, and I think it would be a shame to limit yourself to something that you can get anywhere else. So yeah, try the exotic things, but also it's okay to try the middle of the road things, like maybe some barbecue from Flame Tree Barbecue. We have made our way to Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail for another disaster that we are trying to avoid today. I would say think of the animals as live actors. Obviously, they're not actors, they're animals, and they're living and eating and in their own space, in their own home. But I just mean they're live things. They can only, quote unquote, work for so long. They need to be fed, they need to be taken care of, they need to eat, just like humans need to be fed and taken care of and eat and washed and all that stuff. And a lot of that stuff actually needs to happen before park closing and before the sun goes down. They need to be put into their areas. They need to be fed, in case one is not feeling well, then that needs to be taken care of. So every single one of these animal experiences, including Kilimanjaro Safari, they're all going to close early. Just to give you a time frame, the park is actually closing at 7 o'clock today, and Kilimanjaro Safari is closing at 6:30. And typically we say, it's okay to get in line 2 minutes before the park closes. Because of the animals, Kilimanjaro Safari is not one of those attractions. As I mentioned, the park closes at 7 o'clock, but both of the animal walkthrough experiences, both Gorilla Falls and Maharaja Jungle Trek over in Asia, both of those are about a 15-minute walkthrough experience, but they close at 6 o'clock today. That's a full hour before park closing. And Rafiki Planet Watch, that has a petting zoo. You have to take a train over there. You take the Wildlife Express to even get over there, where you can see the animals being taken care of. There's a petting zoo, there's an animation experience. The train for that actually stops at 4 o'clock. That's a whole 3 hours before park closing. So if any of these animal experiences are on your must-do, which it's Animal Kingdom, so why wouldn't they be? Definitely check the My Disney Experience app for their opening times and closing times because they are not going to be the same as park hours. Now, because this is Gorilla Falls, typically the gorilla exhibit is going to be the most popular. One of my favorite times on the Gorilla Falls exploration trail, it was right when everything reopened, and Shannon and I just like sat there and watched these gorillas just like exist for maybe like 2.5 hours. We just got to talk to the cast members. We found out a lot about them. We found out about their names. We learned about how they interacted with each other. Like, well, this one doesn't really get along with this one because this one gets jealous. It was, so talk to the cast members. They can kind of tell you some of their family dynamics, which I just think is super interesting. Oh wow, you got Big Papa in the back. Look at that. And that is a view. Like that is with the waterfall behind him. That's cool. So if you're coming to Animal Kingdom for the animals, don't miss out. Check the My Disney Experience app for the hours, because I would hate for you to come to Disney's Signature Wildlife Park and not see any of the wildlife. We are moving on to a live entertainment disaster that you guys submitted, which honestly is the worst disaster that can happen. But the disaster that you submitted was I didn't see any of the shows because they kept selling out. And when you're talking about shows that keep selling out, that would obviously be Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond, and Festival of the Lion King. There is a third show, Feathered Friends in Flight, however, that does not typically sell out unless it's a very, very busy day. However, it is very likely that these two shows, both Finding Nemo and Festival of the Lion King, sell out at some point, once or multiple times throughout the day. Just right now in front of me, you can see the sheer amount of people that is coming out of the Festival of the Lion King Theater. We've already been talking a little bit about Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond. Let's get into Festival of the Lion King. Festival of the Lion King is a 25 to 30 minute show that is a celebration of the Lion King's music and of the culture. It is not like Finding Nemo where it's a reenactment of the musical, of the story. It is just celebrating the African culture and the music of the Lion King. Now, this show is full of dancers, singers, aerialists, fire dancers, tumblers, puppets, characters, and more. Now, the story behind the show is super interesting because it was just supposed to be a placeholder. The park was opening, and they needed some sort of live entertainment for fire codes to literally funnel people into a theater, and it's basically for a flow of traffic at the park. They didn't have enough flow of traffic. They needed somewhere to put these massive crowds that were coming. So they created this medley of Lion King songs. They called it Festival of the Lion King, and because it did so well, it was so well responded to that it's still been around for 25 years. In fact, it used to be in a whole completely different theater. They used to have Camp Mini Mickey here. There was a theater back there specifically for the Lion King until they moved it here to Harambe Theater here in Africa, where it now has a home at Harambe Theater for Festival of the Lion King. Now, because Finding Nemo and Festival of the Lion King, they are two Broadway caliber style shows. They are very much sought after, which means seats are gonna sell out. Now, typically our all ears rule for seeing live entertainment here at the parks is always get to the theater 20 to 30 minutes beforehand. This is extremely true for Finding Nemo and Festival of the Lion King. Now, is it a time suck? Absolutely. But remember, Animal Kingdom only has, right now, currently 7 attractions, 7 rides that you can get on, which means there's plenty of time to support live entertainment, see live entertainment, because where else can you feel such raw emotion, hear such incredible songs, live entertainment? Wasting my time zigzagging all over the parks when I should have used the shortcuts that I learned from watching AllEars. Thank you for the shout out. Let's test this out really quick. I'm gonna go on a route that I believe is the shortest route, because I'm here at Tusker House or the Dawa Bar, and my goal is to get to Expedition Everest. There are a couple different routes you can take, but there are definitely shorter routes, so let's talk about it. But I think I'm gonna go this way. Animal Kingdom is one of those parks with a bunch of different side trails, shortcuts, multiple ways to get to different locations. Specifically because Animal Kingdom and all its land are connected by bridges. There is one solitary island in the middle of Animal Kingdom called Discovery Island, and that connects all of its surrounding lands. So for the purposes of today, we could have gone through Discovery Island, but instead, I believe because Africa is right next door to Asia, it'll be a quick jaunt over there to Expedition Everest instead of having to go through Discovery Land, through Dinoland USA, and then finally make it to Asia. Now, I'm actually gonna try something here. Typically, I would keep going that way past Kali River Rapids, past Maharaja Jungle Trek, and carry on to Expedition Everest. But I think I'm gonna attempt going this way, which is a quick shortcut through Discovery Island, through Dinoland USA, because Expedition Everest is actually the closest thing in Asia to Dinoland USA. Also, if we go this way, we get to hear some music. And we enter Dinoland USA. We're gonna make a quick left turn. Then we'll be very close to Expedition Everest. All right, that probably wasn't the smartest route. I was experimenting, I was trying something new. That's what we do here. In order to succeed, you must fail first. All this could be said, Animal Kingdom and all of its different pathways and routes can get a tad confusing. There is a map available to you on the My Disney Experience app. However, there is nothing wrong with the paper map. Planning some routes, going, you know what, there's actually a trail this way, done and done. We didn't have to walk as far, we didn't have to walk as quickly, we didn't have to walk as much. Our next disaster that you submitted to us was I wasted an hour in line when I could have just ridden a single rider on Expedition Everest. Expedition Everest is a high-speed coaster attraction. It is the only coaster attraction here at Animal Kingdom where you board a T-train and you are actually on your way to Mount Everest. However, the only path to get to Everest is through the Forbidden Mountain. Currently living in the Forbidden Mountain is a ferocious Yeti. Don't get in his way or he might come after you. Because it is the only coaster attraction here, this is a very sought after, popular attraction. But luckily for me, and luckily for you, they do have a single rider line here. I will say Expedition Everest does a really good job at feeding people through, so it's never a huge wait. I would say I typically don't see this go above an hour, even though it is the only coaster attraction here. But the single rider entrance is available to you. Know that it is not always open, so definitely check to see this little open sign if it is actually open. Today it is open, which is awesome. I'd say 8 times out of 10, the single rider line is open. But as you can see, it's just me. There's 2 women in front of me, but it's just me. Also be aware that if you choose the single rider line, you will be separated from your party. It's not a way for your family to skip the line and ride together. You can skip the line, but you will be separated from your party. General rule for most roller coasters, but the back row is always absolutely wild. I got some serious airtime on the big drop. It was a lot of fun, and all in all, I was only in line for 5 minutes when the posted wait time was 35-40 minutes. So that's a huge time saver and super worth it for me, who is currently traveling by myself. But again, if your family is okay just riding the ride and not riding it together, it's a great time hack for you as well. I know I'm going back to a previous tip about different routes, shortcuts you can take, but I know this is pretty self-explanatory, but this path doesn't get used very often. Everybody goes in the big path, but this is actually the path to Kali River Rapids, which that's where our next disaster is. And the disaster that you submitted to us was I did not dress appropriately when going on a water ride. And when I say appropriately, I don't mean something that's going to get you kicked out of the park. I literally mean wearing something like I'm wearing today, which is long jean pants, nice shoes, a nice wide brim hat. This is definitely not what I should be riding today. So I'm not gonna. But let's get into Kali River Rapids so you know a little bit more about it. Kali River Rapids is a raft water ride where you do actually hop into a raft and you are taken through the jungles of Asia only to find deforestation, all leading up to one big soaking wet drop. Now there are a couple different ways to avoid this disaster, and one of them is just going to be a hot take. I'm going to be real I'm gonna be real with you. The first thing that you can do is if you are here at the park because you're bounding and you want to take some good pictures, definitely bring a change of clothes. There's nothing like walking around in wet jeans, wet denim, when this is, when you're done with the attraction. It is terrible. So if you can bring a change of clothes and because you really want to ride Kali River Rapids, then that's option A. Option B is to have it be the very last thing you ride. As I mentioned, it's awful to walk around all day, having to do all the walkthrough animal experiences, having to see the shows in the cold AC after being wet. So definitely, I would say have it be the very last thing you do at the very end of the day. That's option B. Option C is to just not do it. And that's the hot take. Kali River Rapids is fun every once in a while. However, I do not believe it is worth the often 50, 60-minute wait. It is a very short attraction with maybe 1 or 2 thrills. Yes, you're on a raft and there's a chance for you to get soaked, because you will absolutely get soaked, but there's only one big drop, and is that worth a 60-minute wait? I don't know. So today I'm choosing option C. Thanks, me. Well, it looks like that's my time, kids. However, there is one more disaster that I wanted to talk about that was submitted. Wasn't on my list, but I was scrolling through the submissions and I was like, well, let's talk about this real quick. Someone mentioned on Instagram that their disaster was that they didn't eat all day because they couldn't find any plant-based items. There's definitely plant-based items, specifically here in Animal Kingdom, because there's a whole restaurant called Restaurantosaurus that is sponsored by Impossible. And of course, when I say Impossible, I mean the plant-based burger, the Impossible Burgers. So next time you're visiting Animal Kingdom, here are just a couple of some of my and Breedlove's favorite plant-based items. As I already mentioned, the Impossible Burger at Restaurantosaurus. It tastes just like a burger, except it is plant-based. It does come with fries. I will say, last time I had it, it was a little bit on the drier side, but that's nothing that condiments won't fix. So I'm a huge fan of a little bit of ketchup, a little bit of mayonnaise, and it fixes it right up. Another plant-based item that recently Breedlove and I tried for the very first time when I trapped him here in Animal Kingdom is the corn from the Harambe Fruit Market. Now, it is typically covered in butter and seasoning. However, you can just get it with the seasoning. Breedlove seemed to really enjoy it. I got the one with the butter. He got the one with just the seasoning. He seemed to really enjoy it. You are going to need some water afterwards because it is just corn and seasoning, and it's going to dry you out a little bit, but still very tasty. Earlier in this video, I was at Flame Tree Barbecue. There is a plant-based burnt end dish that I have actually not tried yet, but seeing it on the menu today, I almost got it, but that'll be something that I come back for. So I definitely look forward to trying that. But my favorite plant-based item is in Africa, and it's the empanadas at Kusafiri, a coffee shop. The casing of the empanada is always buttery, it's flaky, it's crispy. The Impossible meat, it's juicy, it's seasoned well. And this is something that I would recommend to everyone, not just plant eaters. As a person who eats everything, I consistently go back for this, and knowing that it's plant-based. So there are plenty of plant-based items for you to have here at Animal Kingdom. You just gotta know where to look. But luckily, you're watching AllEars.net. I think we did a pretty good job at avoiding all of today's disasters. So if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Now go watch where we ruin our vacation over at Hollywood Studios. Bye.